back, and this is another full lap and test, and this time we are in the Progen T20, which is another one of this week's offer cars. So the last one I'll be doing this week, so you should have all of the new stuff and everything that's on a decent offer. So let's see how we do. That wasn't a brilliant start. So first impressions, I have only just picked this one up. This isn't a car I actually owned before. I really like it. It has a bit of a feel of the 811 about it, actually, in that it's really quite lively, and it does sound really good. I'll give you some I'll shut up talking for a minute so you can have a listen. So on city handling, I'm going to score this quite well. I'm probably going to give this a 7. It suffers from the same thing that some of the other smaller supercars suffer from, in that it is quite light. So lampposts and little glancing blows with other cars can throw you off a bit. But the handling itself is very nice, very predictable. The turning is quick. I really don't like cars that have a very woolly turning, so you seem to be turning the steering wheel and then waiting an age for that to happen. Get out of me way, all of you. Turning the steering wheel and then waiting an age for something to happen. But you really don't have that at all. Really nice. If you look at that, really nice instant turning. It looks really cool. Customization is weak, I'll be honest. There aren't many options, there isn't much you can do with it, but let's be honest, this thing looks pretty good out of the box. It's got that Active Aero spoiler, which doubles as an air brake, which is exactly the same as the McLaren P1 that this is based on. Oh, this is a disaster. Come on. And this is the problem with these lighter cars. I am going to keep this in because this is pretty indicative of this type of car. The lighter car, the slightest little ding and you end up all over the place. I've got to admit, it's quite difficult to see what you're doing in that tunnel sometimes as well. So, Cliffy Eat Corner, let's see how we do. The downforce feels reasonable. It's certainly not strong, it's certainly not being pushed down, but because the handling is quite predictable, he says, spinning out, you can usually control it pretty well. But that stepped out straight away, and that was even with a good dab of brake. So downforce, I think for a supercar, I think this is probably below average. I think I'm going to have to go 4. I even needed a dab of brake there because I knew I wasn't going to get around that corner. And that's the strange thing about it. The drift is really controllable right up until the point where it isn't anymore. Now let's go through and do the top speed test. So I've got my 1 mile section of track. Time the distance between the two and give you a nice measured top speed. There's a good example of the problem with the light cars. Slightest little touch and I just had no chance of recovering that. Before you know it, you're off, you're in the barrier. But I've got to say, that aside, I am liking this car. It's one of the smaller supercars, which means you don't have the same problem getting through some of these gaps. And now I've said that, I'll crash into the first car I come across. There, good example. Because it's smaller, you can still get through. You can pick your way through some of these gaps, even at quite a high speed. So there we are. We're coming up to the finish now. Ooh, psycho driver. And there's a really good example. A lot of the other supercars, there was no way I could have missed that car and then still got through the gap. Not that I could fit through that one, but anyway. So that feels like a good lap. Of big accidents at the beginning, so I don't know how good the time will be, but it feels reasonably quick. Wow. As we come to another finish line. So yeah, if you're in the market, dear me, nearly. So if you're in the market, now's a really good time to pick this up, and I would say it is definitely worth it. It's worth the money. So I hope you found this useful, and I'll see you in the next one.